If you're after a beginner's guide to photography which contains everything you need to know and more, then you might find this video useful. Today I will be sharing with you my top secret guide, which was literally the light bulb moment for me when it came to understanding photography, so stay tuned. Just a little side note about this video, I actually filmed the entire thing before I realised that my SD card had corrupted, so now I'm filming the whole thing again. Take two. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Lizzie's Perspective, where I share with you everything I know about photography. So I'm not gonna lie, but I've actually been putting off making this video because what I'm about to show you is like gold of the photography world, and I wanted it all to myself. But then I remembered that my channel is actually about helping my audience become better photographers, and how am I supposed to do that if I keep everything a secret? So here it is. My top secret guide is actually a magazine from a company called BDM, and this volume of magazine is called Photography: The Beginner's Guide. I first bought the 2019 volume of this magazine when Mark and I were about to go on a long 5-hour trip to Mudgee, and Mark suggested getting a few magazines to read, so I grabbed this one, and I think the other one was Photography Australia or something like that. And I tell you what, I read this magazine word for word, cover to cover, and I'm actually not much of a reader. I just found this magazine so useful and informative, and I suddenly understood everything about camera settings and how to use my DSLR properly with the right equipment, and it only cost me $20. I love this magazine so much that I spent the next year waiting for the next edition, only to realise they came out yearly. So then when I bought the 2020 volume, that's when I realised that they're pretty much exactly the same, just some of the information has been updated. So I kept this one and gave the 2019 edition to my mum, who also uses it as her photography Bible. Now, I just want to put out there, in no way have I been sponsored by these guys to promote their magazine. I'm purely just sharing this with you guys because that's how useful I think this magazine is, and anyone who picks it up will soon realise how awesome it is too, even if you're not a beginner. I keep a copy in my photography bag at all times, and I refer to it from time to time whenever I forget a particular setting because it may have been a while since I've last used my DSLR. What I really love the most about this magazine is that it's written in an easy to understand language with a thorough enough explanation that's not too confusing for first timers. Along with these explanations is almost always an example image or a diagram of some sort, which I find perfect because I'm a visual learner. Let's go through some of the magazine and I'll show you exactly what I mean. As you can see at a quick glance at the contents page, they've actually broken their articles into sections. So you've got getting started, using your camera, taking better photographs, and creative projects. An article that I found particularly useful is the getting to know your camera article, because it basically gives you a breakdown of what each function is on the camera, and to be honest, I didn't know most of these functions, so I found this really useful. There's even articles which help you decide which camera is best for you, and it even gives you a breakdown of the different types of cameras available on the market. The next article after that is about lenses. So again, it gives you a breakdown of what lenses are available on the market and which one is best suited for which type of photography you may do. Then after that, it helps you decide whether or not you need a tripod, and if you do, what kind of tripod you should get. Then following on from that is all about flashes and lighting, and whether you need a flash or not, and if you do, what kind of flash they recommend. Finally, there's an article about filters and systems, and again, it tells you the different kinds of filters available and whether or not you need them. They have more articles on different pieces of equipment ranging from like editing software and memory cards, you name it, they've thought of it all. The next section of the magazine is called Using Your Camera. Basically, it explains every setting on the camera possible. So things such as aperture, shutter speed, ISO, focusing, focal length, metering, as well as scene modes, and the list goes on and on. And it even gives you diagrams of each setting and a detailed explanation of those settings, so it's very helpful. And like I said before, this was the light bulb moment for me because this is how I suddenly understood everything. And because I'm such a visual learner, it was great to be able to see the setting and then an example of the type of photo that that setting produces. So to show you exactly what I mean is this page here. So it basically shows you a whole bunch of photos that were taken at different apertures. I can look at that and visually see that, you know, to keep my images nice and sharp, I need to be using anywhere between f8 and f16. Or on the other end of the scale, if I want to have, say, a nice soft background with just my subject in focus, I need to be using apertures of 1.4 to 5.6. So it's great for me to see these visual representations because it enables me to see what outcome these settings will give me when I use them in my camera. So it even goes on. So for example, you've got the shutter speeds on this page, so it shows you which shutter speeds produce what kind of effect. And then if you go on to the next page, this one is all about ISO. So this one I found very useful, probably the most useful one out of them all because I really struggled with ISO. So this one shows you what type of light setting or what type of day you would use what ISO. And it even shows you down here, as soon as you go over ISO 800, it shows you how grainy the photos actually get. So that was actually really helpful because I didn't know that. Then if you were to move on, it shows you things like methods for getting focus. So these are the settings within your camera. It shows you when to use what focusing method. And then you've got things like metering, and then you've got your focal length. Like honestly, there's diagrams for almost every setting of the camera in here, and it's just great. Like you've even got camera modes. It's just honestly amazing. It's even got rules of composition, so it shows you some basic compositions that you can follow. Honestly, this magazine, they have thought of everything. And just when you think this magazine couldn't get any better, there's a section called Take Better Photographs. And it gives you all these tips and tricks which essentially help you take better photographs and improve on your photography skills. And then there's a section called Creative Projects, and it gives you a range of different projects from, like for example, light painting, photographing men, photographing women, black and white photography, you name it. It's got so many different things in here, and it's great to just be able to experiment with these kinds of projects because you never know what you're going to like or what you're going to be interested in. So doing little projects such as this, it kind of expands your knowledge and it helps you understand what you do and don't like. You guys might even be familiar with this article here from a video that I posted a few weeks ago about bokeh and how to achieve bokeh in your photos. So I actually did this project as a bit of a fun one, and that's what I'm saying, like trying these different projects really expands your knowledge and they're just fun to do. So honestly, whether you think you might like it or not, definitely give it a go because you never know, you might learn something new, or it's trial and error really. So you guys may have noticed in this video that the little cutouts didn't quite work, but it was all trial and error and it was actually quite fun and you learn something new, and I didn't even know that you could actually manipulate the shape of the bokeh like that. So honestly, whether you like it or not, give these projects a go because you might find something that you really love. So here's another fun one that I've done, light painting. So I did this one year at New Year's where I got my boyfriend to use the sparkler and I got him to either write words in the air or draw a cool picture, and I'd have my camera set to long exposure, and when he was done I would actually be able to see what he was painting or drawing. It was actually quite fun. So there you have it, the best beginner's guide you'll ever need to photography and the only beginner's guide you'll ever need, and it only costs you 20 bucks from your local news agency. I highly recommend it. Honestly, I've never looked into photography guides or how-to books because really there's no point. This has been everything you could possibly think of and I haven't needed to look any further. This book has all the answers. So go get yourself a copy of this magazine. You won't regret it. It's definitely money well spent and you can thank me for it later. Alright guys, thanks for tuning into today's video. If you do get yourself a copy of this magazine, I hope you get as much out of it as I have. And I also hope you found this video useful too. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and make sure you spread the word about my YouTube channel to all your photographer friends, because the sooner I become monetized on the sooner I become monetized on YouTube, the sooner I can start making more decent donations to ReachOut.com, which is the charity I support through my channel. Thank you so much guys, and I'll see you all next Wednesday. Bye!